My family mocked me for struggling financially, but after I quietly built financial stability and independent income through career growth, I made a strategic decision to protect my success and redefine respect without sharing my money. So when are you finally going to help Dad with the house repairs? My brother Derek threw the question across the dinner table like a grenade. Everyone stopped eating. My mother nodded along, fork suspended midair. My sister Michelle smirked into her wine glass. I looked at the faces around me and realized something had shifted. This wasn't a family dinner anymore. This was an ambush. I'm still getting back on my feet, I said quietly. Derek laughed. Actually laughed. You've been saying that for 3 years. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I'm 32 years old, single, living in a modest one-bedroom apartment across town. For the last 5 years, my family watched me struggle through unemployment, failed job applications, and what they called my poverty phase. They never let me forget it. Remember when you couldn't even afford Christmas gifts? Michelle added, her voice dripping with sweetness. I remembered all of it. Every humiliating moment. Every helpful comment about my budgeting skills. Every comparison to Derek's consulting career or Michelle's real estate success. My father cleared his throat. Son, we're not trying to attack you. Could have fooled me, I muttered. We're just saying, Mom continued. That family helps family, and your father really needs that roof fixed before winter. I took a slow breath. The roof would cost about $15,000. I knew because Derek had forwarded me 3 contractor quotes last week. Each email CC'd to the whole family. I'll think about it, I said. Michelle rolled her eyes. That's what you always say. Derek leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. You know, some of us actually contribute to this family. The words hit exactly where he intended. I stood up. Thanks for dinner. Where are you going? Mom asked. Home. We're not finished talking about this, Dad said. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair. Yeah, we are. I left before anyone could say another word. The drive home felt longer than usual. My hands gripped the steering wheel too tight. My jaw ached from clenching. They had no idea. None of them. 3 years ago, I was exactly what they thought I was. Broke. Desperate. Barely surviving. I'd lost my job in marketing when the company downsized. Spent 8 months applying to everything. Burned through my savings. Moved to a cheaper apartment. Sold my car and bought something older. My family watched it all happen, and they commented on every step. Maybe if you'd been more valuable to the company, Derek had said once. Have you considered going back to school? Michelle suggested, as if I had tuition money lying around. My parents meant well, I think. But their help came wrapped in judgment. We can lend you money, but you need a plan. You should talk to Derek about career advice. Michelle knows people in hiring. Maybe she can help. Every offer came with strings. Every string came with shame. So I stopped asking. I stopped sharing. I stopped telling them anything about my life. And I started building something they couldn't see. 2 years ago, I landed a contract position at a tech startup. Low pay, no benefits, but it was something. I worked 70-hour weeks. Learned everything I could. Proved myself indispensable. 6 months later, they offered me full-time. Decent salary. Equity options. Real health insurance. I didn't tell my family. I kept driving my old car. Kept living in my small apartment. Kept dressing like someone who shopped at thrift stores. At family dinners, I let them assume nothing had changed. When they made their little comments, I absorbed them. When Derek bragged about his salary, I stayed quiet. When Michelle showed off her new luxury SUV, I congratulated her. I became invisible in the way poor relatives do. A year ago, the startup got acquired. My equity options suddenly meant something. Not life-changing money, but substantial. Combined with my salary increases and careful saving, I had built something real. A 6-figure savings account. A growing investment portfolio. Complete financial stability. I still didn't tell them. By now, the habit of silence felt like armor. 6 months ago, I started a consulting side business. Leveraging the skills I developed. Working with 3 steady clients. Pulling in an extra $4,000 a month. My income had tripled since my poverty phase. My net worth had grown to something I never imagined possible. And my family still thought I was one missed paycheck away from homelessness. I preferred it that way, because I'd learned something important during those struggling years. When you have nothing, people feel entitled to tell you what to do, how to spend, how to save, how to live. They give advice disguised as concern. They judge your choices disguised as help. And they never let you forget that you needed them once. I sat in my apartment that night after the dinner disaster. My phone buzzed with messages. Mom, you didn't have to leave like that. We're just worried about you. Derek, real mature bro. Michelle, Dad really does need help with the roof. Can you at least contribute something? I stared at the messages. My laptop sat open on the coffee table. Bank account login on the screen. $187,000 in savings. $340,000 in investment accounts. My consulting business revenue trending upward every month. I could fix Dad's roof with pocket change. I could fix everyone's problems without blinking. But something stopped me. A memory surfaced. 2 years ago, just after I'd lost my job, I called Derek asking if he knew anyone hiring. Man, I don't know what to tell you, he'd said. Maybe this is a wake-up call that marketing isn't a real career. I'd swallowed my pride and asked if he could loan me $1,000 for rent. I'm not a bank, he'd replied. You need to figure this out yourself. Fair enough. I had figured it out myself. Last Christmas, when I still pretended to struggle, Michelle had bought me a gift card to a discount grocery store. She'd handed it to me in front of everyone. I know things are tight, she'd said with exaggerated sympathy. The card was for $25. Everyone had nodded approvingly at her generosity. I remembered my father's retirement party 3 years ago. I'd been unemployed for 2 months. Couldn't afford to contribute to the group gift. Derek had announced the gift in his speech. From all of us who could contribute, he'd said. The emphasis was subtle but clear. I'd sat there burning with shame while everyone cheered. These memories weren't special. They were just Tuesday. Just the constant background radiation of being the family failure. And now they wanted $15,000. No, they expected $15,000. Because family helps family. I closed my laptop, turned off my phone, made myself tea, sat in my small apartment that I'd chosen to keep. The space that reminded me every day where I'd been and how far I'd come. I'd earned this success in silence. I'd rebuilt myself in the shadows. Nobody had helped me. Nobody had believed in me. They'd watched me struggle and felt superior. Now they wanted access to the results without acknowledging the journey. The next morning, I texted my mom. I can't help with the roof. My financial situation hasn't changed. She called immediately. I didn't answer. Derek texted an hour later. Seriously? Dad took care of you your whole life, and you can't help him now. The irony was suffocating. Dad had taken care of me. 18 years of food, shelter, education. I was grateful. But I'd been an adult for 14 years since then. Paid my own way. Never asked them for money even when I was desperate. And during my worst struggles, what had Dad done? Lectured me about financial responsibility. Suggested I was too proud to accept reasonable advice. Compared me to my siblings at every opportunity. I wasn't refusing to help because I was bitter. I was refusing because I'd learned something they taught me. When you're struggling, you're on your own. When you succeed, you owe everyone. That math didn't work for me anymore. Michelle called that afternoon. I answered this time. What's going on with you? She asked. Nothing. I just can't afford to help. Can't or won't. I paused. Does it matter? Of course it matters. If you actually can't afford it, that's one thing. But if you're just being stubborn, I'm not being stubborn, then what's the problem? I could hear judgment in her voice. That same tone she'd used when commenting on my grocery choices. My secondhand furniture. My lack of vacation photos. There's no problem, I said calmly. I simply don't have $15,000 to spare. Not even to help. Not even then. She sighed dramatically. You know, Derek and I are probably going to have to split it. That's generous of you both. It shouldn't just be us. Then don't do it. What? If it bothers you that much, don't pay for it. Dad's an adult. He can take out a loan or save up. He's our father. I know who he is. Silence stretched between us. You've changed, Michelle finally said. Have I? You used to care about this family. I almost laughed. I care plenty. I just don't have money to prove it. That's not what this is about. Isn't it though? She hung up. I expected anger. I got silence instead. 3 days passed without contact. No texts. No calls. No check-ins. On day 4, my mom sent a message. Derek and Michelle are handling the roof. Your father is disappointed but understands you're still struggling. We love you. The message was perfectly crafted. Forgiveness wrapped in condescension. Understanding laced with judgment. We love you, but we know you're still failing. I read it twice. Felt nothing. Maybe that's what freedom felt like. Work continued. My consulting business picked up another client. I got a promotion at my day job. 15% raise. Expanded responsibilities. My manager pulled me aside after the announcement. You've come incredibly far in 2 years, she said. I remember when you were afraid to speak up in meetings. I smiled. Different circumstances required different strategies. Well, whatever you did, keep doing it. If only she knew. If only any of them knew. The strategy was simple. Stay invisible. Work harder than everyone. Never complain. Never share success. Build in silence. That weekend, I treated myself to dinner at an expensive restaurant. Sat alone at the bar. Ordered the good wine. Ate a steak that cost more than my weekly grocery budget used to be. The bartender made conversation. Celebrating something? Just Friday, I said. Best kind of celebration. I smiled. He had no idea how true that was. Every normal Friday was a celebration now. Every unremarkable day. Every quiet moment in my apartment. Every meal I could afford without anxiety. Every bill I paid without panic. This was the success I'd built. Not flashy. Not Instagram worthy. Just secure. Just mine. My phone buzzed. Text from Derek. Family barbecue next Sunday. You coming? I stared at the message. Part of me wanted to skip it. But absence would raise questions. And questions led to scrutiny. Scrutiny led to discovery. I'll be there, I replied. Sunday came with perfect weather. Derek's backyard was full of extended family. Cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends. He'd gone all out. Catered food. Professional bartender. New patio furniture. I showed up in my usual thrift store button-down and old jeans. Drove my aging Honda. Carried a six-pack of cheap beer as my contribution. Played the part perfectly. My Aunt Susan cornered me by the grill. How are you doing, sweetheart? Good, thanks. Working? Yeah, still at the same place. That's wonderful. Stability is so important. She patted my arm sympathetically, like I was a rescue dog who'd finally found a home. I nodded and smiled. Derek stood on his deck announcing the new roof installation. Michelle and I made it happen, he said proudly. Family takes care of family. Pointed looks in my direction. Some people noticed. Most didn't care. I was the family cautionary tale. The one who struggled. The one who never quite got it together. Let them think that. My cousin Trevor pulled me aside later. He was 24, recently graduated, struggling to find work. How did you deal with it? He asked quietly. Deal with what? Being broke. Everyone judging you. I'm going through it now, and it's killing me. I looked at this kid. Saw myself 5 years ago. You survive it, I said. You work hard. You stay focused. You don't listen to people who've never struggled. But how do you come back from it? How do you make them respect you again? That was the question, wasn't it? You don't, I told him honestly. What? You don't make them respect you. You build something for yourself and stop caring whether they respect it or not. He looked confused. But family. Family will judge you whether you're broke or successful. The only difference is what they judge you for. That's pretty dark. I shrugged. It's just true. Trevor wandered off looking troubled. I'd probably confused him more than helped. But I wasn't in the business of false hope anymore. Michelle found me as the sun was setting. Can we talk? Sure. We walked to the edge of the yard, away from the crowd. Look, she started. I know things have been weird. Have they? Don't do that. Don't pretend everything's fine. What do you want me to say? She crossed her arms. I want you to say why you're being so difficult about helping. I'm not being difficult. I don't have the money. Right? The way she said it made my skin prickle. You don't believe me? I don't know what to believe anymore. You've been so closed off lately. I've been the same person I've always been. No, she said firmly. You haven't. You used to share things. Talk to us. Now you just show up and say nothing. Maybe I got tired of sharing struggles and getting lectures. That landed hard. Her expression shifted. Is that what you think we did? It's what you did do. We were trying to help. You were trying to fix me. There's a difference. Silence fell between us. Michelle looked away. We're not perfect, she said finally. But we're family. We're supposed to be there for each other. Agreed. Then why won't you let us in? Because letting them in meant letting them back into a position of judgment. Because sharing my success would mean fielding questions about why I hid it. Because the moment they knew I had money, I'd become an ATM with guilt trip buttons. Because I'd spent 2 years being free of their opinions, and I wasn't ready to give that up. I'm just private now, I said instead. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She studied my face. You know what Derek thinks? I can imagine. He thinks you're punishing us. For not helping enough when you were struggling. Derek's entitled to his theories. Are you? Punishing us? I considered the question seriously. Was I? Maybe. Or maybe I was just protecting myself. The line between those two things was thinner than people thought. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm just living my life. A life that doesn't include your family. A life where my family doesn't get a vote on my decisions. Michelle's eyes widened slightly. Wow. What? You really have changed. People do that sometimes. Not like this. She walked back to the party without another word. I stayed at the edge of the yard, watched my family laughing and drinking and celebrating. Felt nothing. No longing to join them. No regret about the distance. Just quiet satisfaction that I protected what mattered. An hour later, I said my goodbyes, hugged my parents, waved to my siblings, drove home through empty streets. My apartment welcomed me with familiar silence. I made tea, opened my laptop, checked my accounts. Everything exactly as it should be. Growing. Secure. Mine. My phone lit up with a text from my mom. Thank you for coming today. I know it's not easy. We miss the old you. The old me. The struggling, desperate, grateful for crumbs version. The one who needed them. I'm still me. I texted back. Just quieter. She didn't respond. Over the next few months, a pattern emerged. Family events became less frequent. Derek stopped texting me entirely. Michelle sent occasional check-in messages that felt obligatory. My parents called once a week, conversations staying surface level. I was being quietly phased out. Not dramatically. No big fight or falling out. Just the gentle fade that happens when you stop playing your assigned role. I was supposed to be the struggler who needed advice. The cautionary tale who justified their success. The grateful recipient of their wisdom and occasional charity. Without that dynamic, they didn't know what to do with me. I didn't give them new material to work with. So I became boring. Forgettable. The family member who shows up, but doesn't matter much. Perfect. My career continued its upward trajectory. I landed a major client through my consulting business. Year-long contract. Significant revenue. I hired a financial advisor. Started planning for real estate investment. Considered buying a house. Nothing flashy, just something mine. But I kept driving my old car. Kept living in my apartment. Kept dressing like someone who shopped sales. At work, my reputation grew. People sought my advice. Junior employees asked me to mentor them. My manager hinted at another promotion coming. I'd built respect brick by brick. Earned through work, not family connection. Proven through results, not inheritance. This was what success felt like when you did it alone. Thanksgiving approached. My mom called with the usual invitation. We're doing it at Michelle's this year. 4 o'clock. I'll be there. Will you really? The question surprised me. Of course. Why wouldn't I? You've seemed distant lately. Your father thinks you're angry with us. I'm not angry. Then what? How did I explain this? I'm just focused on my own life, Mom. That's not about you. It feels like it's about us. That's your interpretation. She sighed. I don't understand you anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. No, you're not. You used to talk to us. Share things. Now you're like a stranger who happens to be related. The observation was accurate. Maybe that's healthier, I said. How is distance healthy? Maybe some distance was necessary for me to grow. Silence. I don't like this version of you, she said quietly. I do, I replied. She hung up without saying goodbye. I stared at my phone. Felt a pang of something. Not quite guilt. Not quite regret. Just acknowledgement that changes have costs. Thanksgiving came. Michelle's house was magazine perfect. Decorated within an inch of its life. The kind of home that screamed success. I arrived exactly on time. Brought an average bottle of wine. Wore my usual understated clothes. Derek answered the door. Hey. Hey. Awkward silence. Come in. The house was full of people. Extended family I saw once a year. Michelle's husband's family. Everyone dressed nicely. Everyone bringing impressive dishes or expensive wine. I blended into the background. Answered questions with brief responses. Deflected attention. Stayed invisible. Dinner was elaborate. Michelle had clearly spent days preparing. Everything was perfect. During the meal, Derek stood with his wine glass. I want to say something. Everyone quieted. This year has been incredible. Michelle and I both got promotions. My investment portfolio is up 30%. We helped Mom and Dad with the house repairs. He paused for effect. I'm grateful we've been able to take care of this family. That we've been successful enough to help where help is needed. Pointed look at me. So thank you all for being here, and here's to family that shows up. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too. Kept my face neutral. Let the moment pass. After dinner, I helped with dishes. My dad joined me in the kitchen. You doing okay, son? Yeah, I'm good. You sure? You seem quiet. Just tired from work. You still at that tech place? Yeah. They treating you well? Well enough. He dried a plate slowly. You know, if you ever need anything. I know, Dad. Thanks. We're here for you. I nodded. I appreciate that. He wanted to say more. I could see it in his face. But he didn't know how. The distance I created was working. They couldn't help what they couldn't access, couldn't judge what they couldn't see, couldn't feel superior to what they didn't understand. I'd built a moat around my life, and I had no plans to lower the drawbridge. We finished the dishes in comfortable silence. I said goodbye before dessert. Leaving already? Michelle asked. Early morning tomorrow. It's Friday. Work doesn't care about Friday. She didn't push. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. No obligation. No guilt. No shame. Just freedom. December arrived with its usual chaos. Christmas planning texts flooded the family group chat. Gift exchanges. Dinner arrangements. Who's bringing what? I muted the conversation. Responded only when directly asked a question. Minimal engagement. My consulting business closed the year strong. Total side income nearly $60,000. Combined with my salary and bonuses, I'd cleared $200,000 in income. More than Derek. More than Michelle. More than I'd ever imagined during those struggling years. And nobody knew. Christmas morning, I woke up alone in my apartment. Made coffee. Sat by the window watching snowfall. Peaceful. The family gathering was that evening. I'd bought generic gift cards for everyone. $25 each. Exactly what Michelle had given me that humiliating Christmas. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I arrived at my parents' house at 6. Everyone was already there. The tree was massive. Presents piled underneath. Everyone dressed festive. I handed out my gift cards with a smile. Sorry they're not much. You know how it is. Everyone accepted them with awkward sympathy. It's the thought that counts, Mom said. Derek gave me a pair of discount store socks. Michelle gave me a coffee mug with a generic motivational quote. My parents gave me a gift card to a budget grocery store. Different store than last time, same energy. I thanked them sincerely. Meant it, even. These gifts told me everything I needed to know. They still saw me as the struggling relative who needed practical help. The perception was my shield. Later, after dinner, Derek cornered me. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you still dress like you're broke? The question caught me off guard. What? Your clothes. Your car. Everything about you screams, barely getting by. But something doesn't add up. My heart rate picked up. I don't know what you mean. Trevor mentioned you said some weird things to him at the barbecue. About not caring if family respects you. Trevor misunderstood. Did he? Derek stepped closer. I started thinking about it. You supposedly can't afford to help with Dad's roof. But you never asked to borrow money anymore. You never complain about bills. You never seem stressed about finances. I'm managing. That's what doesn't make sense. People who are managing don't act like you do. They stress. They worry. They talk about it. Maybe I'm private. Or maybe you're hiding something. I kept my expression blank. Like what? That's what I can't figure out. We stared at each other. There's nothing to figure out, I said calmly. I live within my means. I don't spend on things I don't need. That's not hiding something. That's just being responsible. Right. He didn't believe me. But he couldn't prove anything. Anyway, I said, I should get going. It's only 8. Long drive tomorrow. Where are you going? Just a weekend trip. His eyes narrowed. A trip? I thought money was tight. I saved up, I said simply. Left before he could ask more questions. That night, I packed for a real trip. A resort in the mountains. 4 days of skiing and luxury. Booked under my name. Paid in full. Nobody in my family would ever know. The resort was everything I needed. Quiet. Beautiful. Expensive. I ate elaborate meals. Skied difficult runs. Sat in the hot tub watching stars. Talked to strangers who knew nothing about my history. Who saw me as just another successful professional on vacation. It was intoxicating. Being unknown. Being undefined. Being free from the narrative my family had written about me. On the last night, I met a woman at the bar. She was a financial analyst from Seattle. Sharp, funny, successful. We talked for hours. What do you do? She asked. Tech consulting mostly. Some corporate strategy work. Sounds interesting. It pays the bills. She laughed. That's one way to put it. We exchanged numbers. Made vague plans to stay in touch. I knew I'd never call her. Not because I didn't like her, but because maintaining relationships required vulnerability, required sharing, required letting people see behind the curtain. I wasn't ready for that. Maybe I'd never be ready. I returned home on New Year's Eve. Spent it alone. Watched the ball drop on TV. Toasted myself with expensive champagne. To another year of freedom, I said to my empty apartment. The champagne tasted like victory. January brought a surprise. My father called midday on a Tuesday. Can you meet me for coffee? When? Today? I'm near your area. We met at a chain coffee shop. He looked older somehow. Tired. We ordered our drinks and sat by the window. What's going on, Dad? He stirred his coffee for a long moment. I wanted to apologize. I blinked. For what? For how we've treated you. Especially during your difficult years. This was unexpected. You don't need to apologize. I do though. Your mother and I have been talking. We realized we weren't very kind to you when you were struggling. I didn't know what to say. We thought we were helping, he continued. Giving advice. Pushing you to do better. But looking back, I think we just made you feel worse. It's in the past. Is it though? He looked at me directly. You've pulled away from this family. You barely talk to us. You show up to events, but you're not really there. And I think it's because of how we treated you. The observation was accurate. I couldn't deny it. I'm not angry, I said carefully. I'm just different now. Different how? More private. More focused on my own path. More isolated, you mean? Maybe. I'm not isolated. I'm selective. Dad nodded slowly. I understand that. But I don't want you to shut us out completely because we were insensitive during a hard time. I'm not shutting you out. Aren't you? Fair question. I'm maintaining boundaries, I said. That's not the same thing. It feels the same from our side. We sat in silence. I'm doing well, Dad. Better than I have in years. I'm happy. I'm stable. Isn't that what everyone wanted? We wanted you to be okay. I am okay. Are you? The question hung between us. Was I okay? Financially, absolutely. Professionally, thriving. Emotionally, that was more complicated. I'm good, I said finally. Really? He didn't look convinced. But he let it drop. We talked about other things. His retirement plans. Mom's book club. Michelle's promotion. Derek's new car. Normal family stuff. He hugged me goodbye in the parking lot. Held on a little longer than usual. I love you, son. I hope you know that. I know. And I'm proud of you. Even if I don't always show it right. Something cracked in my chest. Just a little. Thanks, Dad. I drove home with my thoughts churning. Maybe I had pulled away too much. Maybe the boundaries I'd built were walls. Maybe I was protecting myself into isolation. But then I remembered. The humiliation of that Christmas gift card. The judgment in every conversation. The constant comparisons. The complete lack of support when I actually needed it. The sudden expectation of financial help once they thought I might be stable. No. The boundaries stayed. The walls stayed. This was self-preservation, not punishment. I'd learned to survive without them. I'd learned to thrive without validation. I'd learned that the opinions of people who didn't respect your struggle don't matter during your success. My phone buzzed. Text from Derek. Dad told me he talked to you. Whatever you're doing, I hope it's worth losing your family over. I stared at the message. Typed and deleted 3 responses. Finally settled on. I haven't lost anything I didn't choose to release. He didn't respond. Weeks passed into months. My life continued its upward trajectory. Another promotion. Another raise. My consulting business expanded. Hired a part-time assistant. Started exploring investment properties. My net worth crossed $500,000. I was 33 years old. Financially independent. Professionally respected. Personally isolated. The trade-off seemed fair. Until my mom called crying. What's wrong? It's your father. He had a heart attack. My world stopped. Is he okay? He's stable. He's at Memorial Hospital. Can you come? I'm on my way. I drove faster than I should have. Parked illegally. Ran through the hospital. Found my family in the cardiac wing waiting room. Derek and Michelle huddled with Mom. They looked up when I arrived. How is he? Stable, Mom repeated. They're running tests. We should know more soon. I sat down. The waiting room chair was uncomfortable. Everything was too bright, too clean, too terrifying. Hours passed. A doctor finally came out. He's going to be okay. Moderate damage. He'll need lifestyle changes and medication, but he should recover fully. Relief flooded through me. Can we see him? Soon. He's resting now. We waited another hour. Finally got cleared to visit. One at a time. I went last. Dad looked small in the hospital bed. Hooked to monitors. Pale. Hey, son. Hey, Dad. I sat in the chair beside his bed. Gave us quite a scare. Gave myself one too. He smiled weakly. Listen, he said, I've been thinking. About what I said at coffee. About you pulling away. Dad, you should rest. Just let me say this. Life's short. I realized that today. And I don't want to waste time being hurt that you've created distance. He reached for my hand. If you need that distance to be healthy, I support it. I just want you to be happy. My throat tightened. I am happy. Good. That's all that matters. We sat quietly. Dad, yeah. I'm sorry I didn't help with the roof. He shook his head. That doesn't matter. It never mattered. We figured it out. We always do. I should have. You don't owe us anything. You understand that, right? Being family isn't about keeping score. But it had felt like keeping score. For years. Every comment. Every comparison. Every judgment. Okay, I said quietly. He squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. However you've gotten through these years, whatever path you've taken, I'm proud you kept going. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Left before I could cry. The next few weeks were stressful. Dad's recovery. Family coordination. I showed up for it all. Helped Mom with groceries. Drove Dad to appointments. Even had civil conversations with Derek and Michelle. The crisis had shifted something. Not fixed everything, but opened a door. One evening, helping Mom with dinner prep, she asked, "Are you seeing anyone?" "No." "Do you date?" "Not really." "Why not?" I chopped vegetables, considering. I guess I'm still figuring myself out. At 33, some of us are slow learners. She smiled. "You've always been too hard on yourself." "Maybe. Definitely." We cooked in comfortable silence. "You know," she said eventually, "I don't care if you're rich or poor. I just want you to be happy and connected to people who love you." "I know, Mom." "Do you?" "Because sometimes I worry you think we only cared about your success." Did I think that? Partially, maybe. "I think everyone's complicated," I said, "including me." She accepted that answer. Dinner was nice. Almost normal. Like maybe we could find a new equilibrium. One where I kept my boundaries but maintained connection. Where they respected my privacy, but I participated in family. It wouldn't be perfect, but it might be sustainable. That night, driving home, I felt something unexpected. Not quite forgiveness. Not quite reconciliation. Just the possibility of something different. My phone rang. "Derek." I almost didn't answer. "Yeah." "Hey, I wanted to say something." "Okay. I've been a dick to you. For years, probably. And I'm sorry." I pulled over. "What brought this on?" "Dad's heart attack. Made me think about what matters. And I realized I've spent years judging you instead of supporting you. We've judged each other." "No," he said firmly. "I started it. When you lost your job, I acted like it was a character flaw. Like you deserved it somehow. That was wrong. I didn't know what to say." "I don't know what your situation is now," he continued. "And honestly, it's none of my business. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. And if you want to keep your distance from me, I understand." "I don't want distance," I heard myself say. "I want respect." "You have it." We talked for another 20 minutes. Really talked. It wasn't perfect. Years of damage don't heal in one conversation. But it was something. Michelle called the next day. Similar message. Similar apology. The heart attack had shaken everyone. Forced perspective. Created space for honesty. I accepted their apologies. Didn't share my financial situation. Didn't feel the need to. The secret wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about autonomy. About maintaining control over my own narrative. About keeping one part of my life entirely mine. Months continued passing. Dad recovered fully. Family dinners resumed. With a different energy though. Less judgment. More acceptance. I started sharing a little more. Not about money, but about life. Work challenges. Funny stories. Small vulnerabilities. They reciprocated. Derek admitted his job stressed him out. Michelle talked about marriage struggles. Mom shared retirement anxieties. We became more real with each other. Not perfect, but better. My 34th birthday came. They threw me a small party. Nothing elaborate. Just family dinner and cake. The gifts were thoughtful this time. Books I'd mentioned wanting. A nice jacket. A restaurant gift card to somewhere I'd actually enjoy. Nobody gave me budget grocery store cards. Nobody treated me like a charity case. Just normal birthday gifts between equals. It felt good. After dinner, Dad pulled me aside. "I have something for you." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. For $15,000. "What's this?" "The roof money." Derek and Michelle insisted I pay them back. I told them I'd give it to you instead. "Dad, I can't." "You didn't ask for it. That's why I'm giving it. Not because you need it. Because you're my son and I want you to have it." I stared at the check. Could deposit it without blinking. Could refuse it to maintain the illusion. Or could accept it as what it was. A gesture of love without strings. "Thank you," I said. Hugged him. Meant it. I deposited the check the next day. Put it straight into investments. Told no one. My secret remained intact. But something had shifted. The secret wasn't armor anymore. Just privacy. Just a boundary I chose to maintain. Not out of bitterness. Out of preference. I'd built this success alone. I'd earned it in silence. I'd proven I didn't need validation or help. That knowledge was enough. I didn't need to prove it to them. Didn't need them to know. Didn't need recognition. The success itself was the reward. The freedom was the prize. The security was the achievement. Everything else was just noise. I kept working hard, kept saving, kept growing, started dating casually. Nothing serious. Just learning to let people in again. In small doses. On my terms. My consulting business continued thriving. I raised my rates. Turned away clients who didn't fit. Built something sustainable and respected. At work, I became known as the person who'd climbed from nothing. They didn't know how far I'd actually climbed, but they respected the journey they could see. That was enough. 1 year after Dad's heart attack, we had a family reunion. Big event. Extended family. 3 generations. I showed up in my usual understated way, but something was different. I felt comfortable. Not defensive. Not performing. Just present. Enjoying the people without needing anything from them. Trevor, my cousin, pulled me aside. Remember what you told me? About building something for yourself? Yeah, I get it now. I stopped trying to make everyone proud and just focused on my own path. Got a great job. Moving to Denver. Starting fresh. That's awesome. You were right. Their respect doesn't matter as much as I thought. I smiled. Took me a while to learn that too. He headed back to the party. I stayed on the porch. Watched my family through the window. Laughing. Talking. Living. They'd never know the full truth. Never understand the complete journey. Never see the bank statements or investment portfolios. Never know I could buy and sell Derek's lifestyle twice over. And that was fine. Better than fine. Perfect, actually. Because this peace, this security, this quiet success was mine. Built in silence. Earned through struggle. Maintained through boundaries. I'd started as the family disappointment. Became invisible through strategy. And emerged as something they couldn't categorize. Not rich enough to exploit. Not poor enough to pity. Just quietly successful in ways they couldn't measure. I finished my drink. Headed back inside. Joined the conversation. Laughed at jokes. Told stories. Participated fully while revealing nothing. The perfect balance. And as I drove home that night, past the old apartment I'd left months ago, past the new condo I'd bought with cash, toward the life I'd built brick by silent brick, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete. Whole. Free. Not because I'd proven them wrong. Not because I'd gotten revenge. But because I'd learned the most important lesson. You don't need people to understand your success to enjoy it. You don't need validation to have value. You don't need anyone's permission to protect your peace. I'd built financial stability not to show off, but to never feel powerless again. I'd created distance not to punish, but to finally breathe. I'd maintained the secret not out of spite, but because some victories are sweeter when they're yours alone. My family thought they knew my story. The struggle. The comeback. The quiet life of modest stability. They were wrong, but I'd never correct them, because the truth wasn't their business. My success was mine. My journey was mine. My peace was mine. And I was keeping it that way.